No, I wouldn't do that. No, they won't make me do that. Get ready to take this car off up here. Well, they did.
All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge and invocation. As you can.
May we bow our heads, please. Give me a second, folks. May we bow our heads, please. Lord God, in heaven above, as we are gathered here tonight, we thank you for the many blessings you bestowed upon each and every one of us. Father, we thank you for this great nation. We thank you for this city. We thank you for the great citizens in this city. Father, as we approach Memorial Day weekend, let us all pray and keep in our minds the men and women in uniform who have died for this nation, especially the ones who died in combat. God, let us raise our flags and say a prayer for them on that day. God be with them. God be with us all. Amen. Amen.
All right, welcome everybody to our meeting at the Civic Center. Just want to remind everybody this is our first meeting back since not allowing the public into the buildings, and it's good to be back. It just so happened that we decided to have this meeting out on the east end of town in the Civic Center. It's something that we want to continue doing. Here and there to open it up and give more opportunity for everybody on all parts of the town to come to these meetings, and it just so happened to fall today. So we're going to be doing more of these, and they'll be kind of bouncing around from here to City Hall. So with that, we'll get started with the first public hearing has been will be deferred to the June 16 agenda, which is 402 Porter Avenue. And so we will go with item B, which is 403 Jackson Avenue.
Mayor, before we begin, I'll make a motion to accept the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Impey, second by Mr. Blackman. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Carolyn?
And I guess I'll need to borrow.
It's going to be a little unorthodox, so we're gonna get through this.
That's okay. We'll work with it. You got it turned on. Okay, can you hear me? All right. Our second public hearing, second on the agenda, is a certificate of appropriateness from Historic Preservation Commission. And we just need to close the public hearing so that we can take some action.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Oh, this is to, there are too many things going on.
I know, there's a lot of
Sorry for
stuff
my
going
brain. Okay, yeah, we need to go into the public hearing so that we can discuss the issue.
Okay, so motion to go into public hearing by Mr. Hoffman, second by Mr. Bellman. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
The information that you have in front of you is a certificate of appropriateness that was submitted to the Historic Preservation for construction of a new single-family dwelling, and it was recommended for approval by HPC. No further input has been received from that public hearing, but this is a new public hearing in front of you to consider it. The HPC did recommend approval. And one caveat for these, since they have been different, and Nicole can correct me if I'm wrong, but because we have the public in the room, we no longer have to defer this public hearing for another 2 weeks, that tonight you can hear the information, close it out, and take action. So if there's any questions on the application, I feel be happy to answer them. Oh, and we do not have any, we did offer the Zoom, so we just have to get input from the public if there's anyone here that wants to speak on it, but we do not have anybody remoting in that would like to comment.
Is there anyone in the public who would like to speak on item D, 403 Jackson Avenue? Either for or against? All right. Is there a motion to
Make a motion to close the public hearing on 403 Jackson Avenue, Mr. Mayor.
All right, motion by Mr. MP, seconded by Mr. Blackman. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
I'll make a motion to approve the request for the COA of 403 Jackson Avenue.
All right, motion to approve by Mr. MP, seconded by Mr. Gill. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item C, amendments to sections of the Unified Development Code relating to the Tree Protection Committee. I'm sorry?
You just need to go into public hearing.
All right, motion to go into public hearing by Mr. Hoffman. And remind Alderman to go ahead and try to speak into your microphone. I know currently at the moment it's kind of hard, but if you just want to shout motions, I can do it. I can hear you. But if we're going to have some
Motion, Mayor.
all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. All right, we're now in public hearing for item C.
And just as background, as you have in your packet, this was the ordinance modification that was requested for Nicole to prepare regarding the tree protection ordinance and committee. So if there's any questions on, the only thing that I will add, and then Nicole can expand on anything, that the draft that was provided to the Planning Commission for their public hearing last week, they recommended approval with the addition, they asked that you include a representative. They suggested a member of one of the existing commissions, whether it's Planning Commission, HBC, but somebody who has already been assigned to a commission, just be assigned to partner with the department as it's created, not necessarily for voting, but as just to provide input and oversight. So that was the change, and it's made in track changes there in the draft that you have to review.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to,
Well, we're in public hearing. So if there's anyone who would like to speak on item C, either for or against, come to the podium. And state your name and either your address or your ward, please.
Whoa, it's kind of magic. Yes, my name is John Howell and I live in Ocean Springs. Mr. Mayor, Alderman, I have just a couple of quick comments about the disbanding of the Tree Protection Committee and assigning it to the Building Department. First, in my many years of membership and volunteering, the U.S. Army, which I got drafted, that was my choice, academically, professionally, and post-retirement, I have been associated with a tremendous number of organizations. I have never been associated with an organization that has been deemed to be disgraceful, okay? As the tree committee was and has been described by this body. With such an accomplished and estimable group of people, I will certainly include the disgraceful in my CV, which for those that don't know, that's a resume, okay? Secondly, one member of the tree committee needs to be specially recognized, which I'm not sure that's going to happen, but who knows, for her exceptional service and loyalty. to this city and that committee. Her name is Mrs. Molly Pontius. She's given 12 years to the tree committee. She has been steadfast, she's been true, she's been attentive, and she's above all honest. If the board chooses to recognize her in some way, whatever, that would be really terrific, right? But I, as former chairman of the former Tree Protection Committee, would like to go on the record tonight saying this: Mal, you're a pip and a treasure who taught me about trees. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone who would like to speak either for or against the proposed changes? Item C.
And we do not have anyone on the remote input line.
So we can entertain a motion to come out of public hearing. All right, motion by Mr. Cox to come out of public hearing. Seconded by Mr. Blackman. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. All right, now for discussion.
I appreciate the,
And just to remind, I know we can kind of hear everybody, but this is predominantly, speaking into the microphone, is predominantly for the city clerks to be able to accurately record the meeting.
I appreciate the recommendation of putting a volunteer on there with the building department. The only issue we have had is for them coming together and being able to go review the trees together. So I hate to have that in the stipulation that they have to be present to go do so.
I can clarify their motion. It was to work with them, but they did not specify how working with them would take place.
Kind of as a consultant basis. I mean,
Just, yeah, they mentioned the word oversight and just to provide input. Those were the phrases that they used in their discussion.
so we pretty much could go forward with the recommendation we had, but add them as if the building department has an issue, they can consult with the committee member.
I think they wanted to be included, before those recommendations went to the board, they wanted to be able to discuss them and provide oversight. But it wasn't like, and then any differences of opinion between the building department and this volunteer would be notated in the presentation to you. Ultimately, they did recognize that the decisions are the board's as far as approving or not, but they just wanted to be involved in the process in some way.
I'll say this. So I'll respond to your comments and absolutely thank Molly Pontius 100% for her dedication to the city and this committee. Jam up, job, and I'm sure that the mayor will be putting something together for her.
Yeah, that'd be terrific. She really is a treasure.
She's a great person and a great asset to the city and to that board. But with that being said, I would like to make a motion now to adopt this new ordinance, letting the building department only handle the tree committee or the tree decisions without the input from the planning commission.
All right, so motion by Mr. Blackman. Now, just to clarify, that's essentially the original recommendation that we sent to the
The
planning
original
commission.
recommendation that was sent out.
All right, seconded by Mr. Bellman. Any further discussion? Yeah. Megan and I, Megan's been in contact with all of them, and we'll put our heads together, and we'll work something out together.
Because I too appreciate the knowledge that she's involved in board, just like a lot of us, it takes a lot of time.
Yeah. So, go ahead, sir.
Real quick, I hate to interrupt. Will you guys put out a notice that the tree committee has been disbanded? Because I've not read anything anywhere along the road. And going to the building department, which is fine, it's your call.
We will. Like I said, Megan has been kind of
That way it'll
spearheading.
save us a trip in a week from Tuesday, so that's fine.
Yeah, she's been kind of spearheading the communication, so we'll put our heads together and we'll come up with something good. I
Make
appreciate
sure you
it.
take care of them all.
Yeah, we should do it.
Is it 30 days from approval?
Effective immediately if the vote is unanimous.
Okay.
All right, any further discussion?
I just want to thank you, Doc, too, for your time on the board. You've been,
Listen, it was a hoot, I enjoyed it. I think it was handled kind of poorly from this end, and like I said, I have never been on anywhere that was described as disgraceful. And that, even though whether it was meant for me or not, is immaterial, because I was the chairman of the thing, and that's all right. You know, you take your lumps, you do your thing, you know. But yeah, Molly deserves something. You know me, I don't really do shit. I don't really want anything from any of you. But Molly deserves more than anybody else on that committee.
I agree. All right, so without further discussion, I'll call. All in favor? Aye. I'm sorry, yes, this is a roll call. Roll call vote, Mr. Gibb.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, all ayes, and it passes unanimously. All right, and with that, we have some proclamations to present. So the first one will be for National Public Works Week. So if Candace and Alan would like to meet me up front. All right. Okay. Whereas public works services provided in our community are an integral part of our citizens' everyday lives, and the support of an understanding and informed citizenry is vital to the efficient operation of public works systems and programs such as water, sewers, streets and highways, public buildings, and solid waste collection. And whereas the health, safety, and comfort of this community greatly depends on these facilities and services, and the quality of effectiveness of those facilities, as well as their planning, design, and construction, is vitally dependent upon the efforts and skill of public works officials. And whereas the efficiency of the qualified and dedicated personnel who staff public works departments is materially influenced by the people's attitude and understanding of the importance of the work they perform. Whereas the American Public Works Association has celebrated the annual National Public Works Week since 1960, whereas in the city of Ocean Springs, in the city of Ocean Springs, I will call upon all citizens and civic organizations to acquaint themselves with the issues involved in providing our public works and to recognize the contributions with public works officials and employees make every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life. Now therefore I, Shay Dobson, Mayor of the City of Ocean Springs, do proudly proclaim the week of May 17th through the 23rd as 2020 as National Public Works Week. And somebody taking pictures? Somebody take a picture?
I'm good. We appreciate it.
And Alan and Candace have been doing an excellent job. Alan's the new director, and I know you all got your hands full out there, and keep up the good work.
Yeah, I want to thank Candace for keeping Alan straight.
That's exactly where I was going with it. I was fixing to say the same thing.
Alan, thank you for keeping Alan straight. It all worked out.
And if I could ask Huffy to come up here real quick. This is for Parks to Kids Day. And at our Parks Department, And our Parks Department does a fantastic job. You know, our parks here in Ocean Springs is one of the things that makes our city beautiful. And this man right here, Huffy Mayfield, is one of the main reasons that is, all his hard work and dedication to the city. So whereas May 16th, 2020 is the 10th Kids to Parks Day, organized and launched by the National Park Trust, held annually on the third Saturday of May, and is now Parks to Kids Day. And whereas Parks to Kids Day empowers kids and encourages families to embrace what they can
what they can do outdoors at America's parks, public lands, and waters. And whereas we should encourage children to lead a more active lifestyle to combat issues of childhood obesity, diabetes, hypertension, and hypercholesterol. We'll go with that. And whereas Parks to Kids Day will recognize the importance of social distancing while enjoying the benefits of the outdoors during the COVID-19 crisis. And now therefore I, Shay Dobson, Mayor of the City of Ocean Springs, do hereby proclaim the third Saturday in May as Parks to Kids Day.
And now to the presentation from Scott Lemon, giving us all the good news on the insurance renewal options.
Test. Wow, we've come a long way. This all started a couple months ago with one of the first Zoom meetings. I think the mayor and Bobby and Rob were in his office with Mindy, and I don't know, Mindy was in her office, but she kept running back and forth. We've gotten better since then, but I appreciate everybody's participation that's been able to make it. Hard work, Mike zoomed in, or some kind of in the last couple of times, and I think we've made a lot of progress. We initially talked the market pressures of what's going on in the marketplace. We were thinking 20 to 30% increase, and the mayor was able to hang on to his desk because he was sliding out of his chair when we said that. But I think through the efforts and communication of what we do, we've made a lot of progress. And we put it out to 3 brokers in the market to let them compete with themselves, and really the incoming broker was still far below market. The other folks just bowed out. I guess if there's a couple key takeaways, Mindy has worked really hard with the department heads and so forth in getting our values of personal property, vehicles, driver's list, the things that, equipment, your mobile equipment, the things that can help us with pricing in terms, make sure we're buying the best that we can. And I think that's where we've ended up tonight. I met with the mayor and Bobby and Mindy Monday to a few final things. I guess there's one other thing that the broker came back and said, hey, your building values have really not changed since 2016, and they want to take us from a broader coverage, which is scheduled per location, to a schedule per building. We're doing some inspections later this week to try to see if we can make some headway on that. If not, we'll probably address it in the next cycle. So where we are tonight, and there's a whole bunch of nice information in here. I think that I learned from Mike, just go ahead and go to page 8. He did this part of the presentation for me the other day, or he closed it for me. But you can see where we have the renewal terms on the far right column, and what the building coverage has done. There's some in the Parks and Recreations that increase, and largely that is from the sexual abuse coverage and just what's happening in our country at this point in time. The auto schedule, Mindy added and dropped and cleaned up, and we've worked hard on that over the last couple of years to make sure. One of the things we do have, and we continue to have this conversation, there are some older vehicles on here. Due to the coverage form that we use, that's part of the municipal program, it covers the attached equipment and police cars. So you're largely insuring these old vehicles because of the equipment that's attached to them, the light bars and the extra bumpers, and then the electronics that are in them just for your own protection. So, we talked about some options to try to get our pricing down. And if you look down towards the bottom of that page, you have a $40,000 occurrence wind deductible. This is something that, you continue to buy through the market cycle change. We looked at a 2% deductible to move it up to 2%, which really means with your schedule, you're taking on about $600,000 worth of exposure down at the bottom of the program. The first part, they would get a loss if you had a loss. And that, this year they came back, and for that first $600,000 of coverage, it's less than $9,000. So we looked at other markets because we've seen that work on other programs, and the market price on that was $90,000. So I mean, it's an extremely good buy if you want to spend that $9,000. The other conversation we had Monday, and this is for full board discussion. If you look at the bottom of page 8, we had conversations about not insuring some of the buildings. And you can see, we looked at the police substation, the armory, and the Coney cafeteria were the 3 that we really kind of kicked around. So we went in and estimated some premium for those, and that just really goes to your choice of how much you want to spend and how much risk you want to take on. With that, I'll open it up for comments, questions. Is that me or y'all?
Hey, Mr. Scott, thank you for bringing that up. I know in the meeting, I was kind of just asking what could we do to hold where we are now.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been my goal since serving on this committee, is see what we can do, thinking out of the box to hold that number tight to where we can just keep it the same every year. This year, it's kind of crazy to think what we put on here to do, but I mean, with the Ryan Youth Center, the $1 million policy, it's $8,200 a year. I don't know, if we lose that building in the spring, it doesn't affect many of our programs. It doesn't affect anybody just really bad. But after thinking more on it, the police substation, we've got all the equipment that we keep in there. I don't know, if that would be a smart move for us to do. And also to Coney, if we lost that, then you get 3 tenants there, are playing. So it was a great idea. I think we could have saved another $40,000 if we want to stick our necks out and do that. And it would put us actually below what we paid last year. Or we can do 1, keep 2, I kind of just put that on there for the board to talk about and beat around to see if, are we really willing to take that gamble? If we are, we can save and we can stay where we are. If not, let's just pay the $31,000 difference and move on, because y'all did an excellent job at beating this thing to death and getting it as low as you could.
Well, I appreciate the comments, and for me, the neat thing is we're having these dialogues and conversations, and you know what you're buying, you're concerned about it, I think that's the most important part of the process, and I think that these folks do a great job of making sure we're looking at the right equipment and the right things, and willing to take that risk as well. So. Whatever the discussion is and the will of the board, I'm here to try to help.
Did you have something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I was running the numbers. If y'all leave it as you brought it tonight, then we need about 23,302 more for the buildings, and we need about 3,500 more on the vehicles. I think that's because we're getting some newer vehicles that are getting added. Which is good.
You're talking about over and above last year's.
Over what the budget is.
Yeah.
He's talking last year,
Total
this year. I'm
increase.
talking about right now, you need about 29,000. It's not budgeted to just meet the ride that y'all came over with, insuring everything, what you had.
How much is the budget now paying?
It's, right now, we've got 214,000 left in buildings. We're gonna need about 235,000. The vehicles, we have about 47,000 left, and we need 50,777.
Well, you were saying if y'all turn off your microphones in between, it might not.
So
about 29,000 more than we have budgeted.
maybe
If
we
y'all
do
go
need
the
to
way you
discuss
are,
this.
and that's why I'm telling you that now, so y'all can factor that into your decision.
Bobby, we have 25,000 of contents on the police substation.
So the contents wouldn't be affected if we didn't have the
Scott, how would that play
But
with
you-
PE?
You can buy either or. I mean, if you can buy the building without any contents, or you can buy the contents without any building.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, as far as the Ryan Youth Center is concerned, I mean, that's a solid building, and if something to get damaged, we've got a great public works and rec department. I mean, I don't see anything that we couldn't fix ourselves. That's $9,000 a year that, I mean, we renovated the whole thing for 12,000 plus air conditioning units. So,
Now what and John might have been the only one here, was when Katrina hit, I don't know what the reimbursement of MEMA or FEMA is gonna be with insured versus non-insured. You know, who knows what the federal government will do next time. And I do know that they do require insurance once they pay for something. And they may change that as well. Pardon?
Except for sewer lift stations.
Yeah, except for,
so I don't know, how would that affect the substation? Because that was built with a grant, but I can't remember what. Carolyn, do you remember what grant we used for the substation?
That would be so old.
Yeah, the Dewey, I mean, the original construction of Dewey, yeah,
It was like 130,000.
that's well beyond any grant funding. I don't know how that's funded.
That was years ago, and the last time y'all put money in there, it was general fund.
It's before our time.
Okay.
What's stored in that building?
Mark, can you say what's stored in that building?
It's got police stuff and a lot of records.
And record-wise, the chief has offered for us to try to store down there with them. We just haven't been able to get over there and go through it and destroy what we can and move forward. Sorry, it's a mess. Yeah, you're correct, it is. And, yeah, and it's not really easy to get over there, but yes.
Even the renovations were not paid for with grant. Those were two center local funds.
And I think it needs a roof. If I understand it, the air conditioners don't work. I'm not sure exactly what the insurance will do.
It's a money pit.
it has been for quite a while.
So you're telling me that if we drop the insurance, it's not gonna affect what's in it? We can still have the contents covered?
Sure, if you want to leave that coverage on there.
They're covered on the vehicle schedule.
What about motorcycles, Scott? What
Yeah,
about-
those are on the vehicle schedule.
So
Those
if
are
they're
on,
in the building and the building gets destroyed.
that's okay. I mean, they'll be covered under their coverage.
Chief, you have anything else you worried about in there that we need to
No, that's it, vehicles, motorcycles,
be?
four-wheelers, motorcycles, they've all got their own separate insurance.
And records aren't probably insured anyway. I mean, paper's not insured.
Well, you do have a separate, there is some valuable paper coverage in the form, but that's regardless of where it is.
Okay.
So, I mean, as long as it's yours and you have it stored, then that's.
So, anybody like to make a motion, or we want to?
I got a question.
Go ahead, John.
Okay, last meeting, we discovered that the, dog park was not, on the insurance. And I don't know whether that needed to be or what.
That's up to you all. The inspector came out today to look at it from the rating bureau, and he's gonna evaluate it for us. So once we get that, we'll get back with you on what that cost would be.
Well, you're gonna let us know before we add it, okay?
John, it was discussed in our meetings, and Scott, you wanna address it?
So really, thank you for bringing that up, Ms. Gill. The two things we talked about in the last meeting was the TIV change that Rob brought up, and Mindy sent an email out. That was some Caterpillar equipment. It was some contents at the police station and the library, which I think the library pays their own load, and then it was also some artwork. As to the dog park, we had it inspected today. We've got some cost on what we think it is. But there's also, on page 9, you look at some of those coverage extensions, there's some miscellaneous unnamed locations.
And it may be something that we just say, hey, that'll be an unnamed location. We'll pick, if we have a loss, we'll file it under that part of the provision of the policy.
Sounds good, Dan. That's
So,
what I think. That'll work.
So,
Thank you.
thank you, thank you.
Scott, of these three options that you suggested that we could discuss, the substation, the armory, and the Tacony, I think what we're all kind of thinking of here, we do need to keep Tacony. We need to cover Tacony. So I think the question is about the police sub and the armory. What are we talking about there? I know the total is 31,000. What are we talking about if we drop those two?
They're pushing 17,000, and yeah, these are just.
Use that premium.
Yes, sir, and we, really, this was kind of just the conversation we had at the table the other day, and they were like, well, what's these three particular buildings? Hey, we can go down the whole list of buildings if y'all want.
Hey, what would that do if we drop those two, police and armory?
I think a while ago, I think I said we needed about 29,000, so if you drop 17, we would be in the market more around 12,000 that we would still need.
Okay.
So let me understand where, if we leave all this alone and keep everything insured, where would we pull that money, ending balance? And how much, you said about 29?
About 29, I do have 8,000 in there in her budget for rents, and thank the Lord we haven't had any. But we
Yeah.
also will have some unemployment that's not budgeted, there's gonna be some more items
Right,
coming
well,
up.
I have a huge problem leaving anything exposed without coverage, especially these two facilities. I mean, it would be one thing if these were two facilities that we were considering tearing down or something like that, but I don't think that's the case. I'm just one vote, but my vote's gonna be to keep everything in place. I just can't see leaving yourself vulnerable and exposed, especially this time of year. We're fixing to be in the peak of hurricane season, and we need these structures insured. And if it means we're 29,000 short on cash ending balance, it is what it is.
I just didn't know how much longer we're gonna deal with the police substation. Is that the intention to always have it, or?
I don't see any reason to tear it down. I mean, we're housing vehicles and records and documents there. And there's a dance class, I think, Duffy is still going on, no?
Rob, you need to go take a look at the records.
All right.
We have.
The motorcycles I agree with, and they do have their golf cart and four-wheelers, but the records part of it, that's about.
Yeah, I think we could be better served by just rebuilding a new building.
So we are now talking about tearing that building.
We've been talking about it.
Now, whether we-
I'm fine with it if that's the general consensus. I mean, if we don't need it, then by all means, let's take it off the insurance roll. But right now, it needs coverage while we're using it. I think we're exposed.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think we're ready to tear it down at this moment, especially with the uncertainty regarding our budget, with the COVID, but.
So, if a storm came through and did something to the building, with it already having roof issues and the air conditioner doesn't work, they don't know any of that, so that wouldn't affect anything on the cost.
The only problem is if it's a minor damage or we have a little storm and it doesn't tear the whole roof off, I mean, if they come in and see it's mostly damaged, you need a total loss is what you need.
Okay.
So,
And it's a bomb shelter, so I
Yeah.
doubt that'll happen.
yeah, me and Alan used to watch police cars out there in front of it back in the day. Right, Huffy?
So, it's,
Maybe summarize this, or the way I look at it is, let's just go forward. I agree with Mr. Blackman that we do need to insure the facilities we've got right now at this point in time. With all this discussion and debate, it kind of tells me we're not positive about dropping anything. So I'd suggest that we continue with Mr. Lemon's premium summary, and in the very, very near future, we make a decision to do something with the structure on Dewey Avenue for prefer to tear it down. That's what I suggest. I can, do we need a motion?
Yes, yeah.
I make a motion that we accept Mr. Lemon's proposal.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Mr. Pena, seconded by Mr. Blackman. Any additional discussion?
I just want to thank Scott and Linda for all their hard work in this also.
I think that's,
Yeah, it's just that.
just turn it off, just turn it off.
Also Mindy and Patty, I know they put a lot of hours in on this. With the market being up 20 to 30% in most areas across the board, Scott told us about a few horror stories. I mean, that's average. Some areas are getting hit hard. The brokers competing have been able to keep it. I just ran the numbers. It's 10.9%, so we're well below that average. And yeah, I support your motion, Ken. Well, thank y'all for your hard work.
I agree. Scott always does an excellent job on this. We appreciate you. All right, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Hey, thank y'all so much for the hard work and the kind words and the partnership beyond support. Thank y'all so much.
All right, so moving on with the new business, and item A, authorized to approve the contract with Jackson County Election Commission for city municipal election contract. All right, motion to approve by Mr. Gill. Second by Mr. Hoffman. Any discussion on this? None. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. All right, item B, discussion of proposed franchise ordinance with Mississippi Power Company for 25 years. I talked to Greg Fender today, who he's the one who did a couple different contracts for the telepathic. Telepathic services. And he said, according to him, he believes that the 3% is the max in Mississippi for the power. He is double checking for me though. And according to Cole, we need to have to vote on this tonight. We can always push it until next week. He's pretty confident that it's only 3%, but he is going to double check.
I guess that was my next question for Nicole. Have you scanned this document? And what are your thoughts?
Well, I guess last time we brought it up, I sent Shay a summary of it all, and I kind of went over it with y'all the first time that this was brought up. I mean, this is pretty straightforward. Do I need to get up there and talk to you? Think this is better?
This one.
But it's pretty straightforward. All the other cities that have Mississippi Power are moving forward with this on August 4th. If they aren't already going to move forward with it on the first Tuesday with this. Again, we can look at it for another week, but the last date that we have that we need to approve this, so it can be held in Patty's office for the amount of time that is required.
Set is about as good as we can get.
Yeah, and that's what we've been getting.
Yeah, I mean, there's no flexibility to say, hey, we want 5.
Is locking this in for 25 years usually the typical number? I mean, it's that long? It's
Yeah.
not just a,
Last time it was done was 25.
Yeah,
okay,
right.
so-
It'll be again in another 25.
Yeah.
We won't be here. We won't be here.
Yeah.
Or I won't be here. It's all statutory. It's all statutory.
What about MML? Have you checked with them and let them look over that kind of thing?
They've, to my knowledge, they have. I haven't directly sent it to them, but to my knowledge, they are aware of it and they have looked over it.
Yeah, are they aware of it?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Are they not?
There's around 60 cities. What they told me, there's around 60 cities that'll be voting on the same thing we will at the same time.
Because I know they've looked at that other contract and
Yeah,
it
this
makes
is
a
not
big
the
difference.
same. Yeah, I-
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, Mr. Fender is pretty sure that it's only 3. He's going to double check, but he says if he had to guess, that he's pretty sure that it's 3.
Well, Mayor, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'll make a motion that we accept this franchise agreement with Mississippi Power the way it's written. Can I put a contingency, Nicole, that if it comes back next week that we can get more of a percentage that we can modify it, or do I need to?
To renegotiate?
Yeah, to renegotiate.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm gonna say that we approve this agreement and contingent on the 3% being the max that we can get. If it's not, then we can renegotiate.
All right, motion by Mr. Blackman, second by Mr. Cox. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Hey, it's a roll call.
Oh, ordinance, yes. Roll call, Mr. Gill?
Aye.
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 All right, motion passes. All right, discussion to renegotiate terms for renewal of AGJ Systems and Networks, complete care agreement. Megan, have you been working on this? So,
Yeah, the contract's just coming up, and I just wanna look and make sure that we're getting the best deal going forward. Stuff has changed since we signed that contract, so I just like to go into negotiations.
I've already contacted him, Shay, I included you. I've contacted, AGJ to explain to them that we wanna negotiate and we wanna know what they're working on something right now. We've instructed them that we need that before the June 2nd meeting. So at that point, we can see whether we're gonna be able to continue or whether we're gonna need to go out for an RFQ. So we're hopeful that that'll just come back. They're aware that we are willing to go out for an RFQ if we feel like we're not getting the best negotiation. But they know that.
well, and you know, it's you always want to shop and you always want to look at what's out there, but I will say I have been very, very pleased with AGJ. They've been very responsive. They, you know, they put everything we need on the computers, and I'm
They do a great
Yeah,
job,
they're good.
but it's been a 3 or 4 year contract, so
Mhm.
in the beginning, they had a lot of cleanup, and so the contract was pretty heavy. So
Mhm.
we're hopeful that our needs are not as great, and so we're hopeful that the day-to-day might not be quite as, that's all.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have any input on this? On AGJ?
I think they've taken us a long way since I wasn't here from, prior to this term, but I mean, I feel like they've been a big asset to where we are now.
We have to have a company. We can never go back to just one person, as the chief will agree and everyone else will. We do need a company.
Yeah, I have about $2 million worth of IT in my
Yeah.
building and cars.
Yeah.
It's just, no, it's gotta be professional.
I agree, and I want to like echo what Ricky said. I mean, just from the time we've been here, my previous time here, when we had one person working IT, it did not work. So this has been, it's been a blessing to have a good firm in here that knows what they're doing, and I think they've done an outstanding job, and I have no problem with continuing with them at this point.
That's the hope, yeah, that's the plan.
As long as staff is happy with what they're doing, and, I know we are. I know we've been very pleased with what we've seen production-wise out of this company, so I'm good with it.
All right, we'll continue to negotiate and then have something for the board to vote on. All right, so we'll move to consent agenda. Does anybody have any items to pull from the consent? Item P. Okay. All right, item P. P as in Paul. Does anybody have any other items to pull from the consent?
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda with the exception of item P, Mr. Mayor.
All right, motion by Mr. Impey, seconded by Mr. Cox. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, go ahead, Mr. Bowman.
All right.
Get that.
Okay, in item P, I'd like to table 604 Clark for removal of 2 magnolia trees until the next meeting. He's going to appeal it. And that's the only thing, 604 Clark. I'd just like to table it until the next meeting for an appeal.
Want to accept everything else?
Yeah, we can accept everything. I'd like to make the motion that we accept the tree committee's application for tree removals for 1118 Iberville, 311 Lovers Lane, and 2803, that's Camry? Camry.
All right, motion by Mr. Bellman, seconded by Mr. Cox. Any further discussion? All All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. All right. Move to department reports. Real quick, what we have is, out at 57, Huffy, when is the drainage getting started? Is that Nick? Alan?
We're going to go out there tomorrow, look at it, see how they all sidewalks.
Okay. All right. I want to make sure we get all the departments and everybody's eyes on it. So I'd like to set up like just a committee to oversee that. So it's going to be myself, Bobby, Alan, and Miss Jerry and Huffy and Rob is what I'm going to propose, and we're going to go out there and just oversee and keep and oversee. So yeah, I think we'll need a motion. All right, motion on Mr. Cox. Do I have a second? All right, second on Mr. Bellman. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. All right, do we have any items for the docket of claims?
I didn't see anything, so that's why I didn't email y'all this week. I didn't see anything.
All right, motion to approve by Mr. Cox. Second by Mr. Hoffman. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. All right, we have allotted 30 minutes to public comment. The only person I have is Mr. James Lewis. Should I to come to the podium, please? I can use my inside voice. That'll
Good evening. It's a pleasure to see all of you again. I want to thank Rob. I've called him on numerous occasions because we have a lot of roadkill out there. He makes sure it's got to take care of. The new subdivision is going in. There are some minor problems that's out there. Rob and I have talked about that. They've gone back in and taken care of that. And mainly because there's a lot of trash that workers come out there. They just throwing stuff all over the place versus policing when you hear the police go up. I have a serious concern though about that retention pond that's out there, because there was a drainage situation that was going on out there that you finally got to take care of. That pond is out there. It's going to need a chain link fence around it, because somebody's child is going to be out there and somebody's going to get drowned. And I don't know if you've ever been out there and saw that retention pond. They've got a suction thing out there. They'll suck a kid in there and he'll be turned to mush in no time. And that's a very important thing. They're doing a great job out there. They probably go back and do some cutting some grass now, because the grass is growing. It's getting quite bushy out there. Someone is going back in and dumping trash out there in that big blue dumpster they have, which is very bad for the company, because they have it out there to do their work. But somebody went there and dumped a couch and a love seat. I know they come with them out there. I want to thank Candace and the Public Works for the job you guys are doing. I've only been back about 4 years. I grew up here, and if I call, I got trash that needs to be picked up, and just go out there and get it done, and appreciate that. I know that we haven't always agreed, and we'll never always agree, but it has been a pleasure and privilege to work with you guys and going back in and working through issues. And if by chance if you can get some citizens to go back in and work with you on issues that come up, that would be great. Because the only thing that's not good is when you don't ask the question to get information as far as feedback is concerned. We work together as a team. I love Ocean Springs. I grew up in Ocean Springs. I graduated from Keys High School. My class was the last class to graduate in an all Negro school in 1968 for integration in 68, 69. It's been a privilege and a pleasure to work with you guys. Like I said, we have bump heads. That's good. Family members bump heads. So we're not going to always agree, or we can respectfully agree to disagree. And you guys are doing a fantastic job. 100%. Appreciate it. Take care and God bless. Good to see you back here.
Thanks, Mr. James.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. We'll look at that pond and make sure we address it.
And any issues found with this guy, if you recall when you approved their final plat, it was conditional because the design of the pond changed without, that was an issue.
Yeah.
So we have not fully accepted the design of that retention pond
Yep.
at this point, and occupancy will be held until it's completely accepted. So we can address the fence issue and those
There's no
issues.
protection grade on that section?
And that's what I'll go back and double check. I had not been told that that was an issue, but we'll go back and look at that as part of the design quickly, and at least ask them to put a fence or some other protection
Yeah,
for that.
Alan, can y'all go check that out tomorrow morning, and if it's something imminent that needs to, tell them that they need
The
to.
original design didn't have a pump in it, it was overflow.
Well, I'm just go look at the state of it now, and if it's something that we need to make address immediately.
So we don't know what if the final design will be, in the final configuration, because we're still going through that with them, but we'll keep that in mind when we have that.
Okay. All right,
If I make one point out of
Go ahead.
if we've got water that's standing out there, in that ditch that has been created, that's gonna be a mosquito breeding pond very quickly because the summertime is getting. That's another issue that needs to be looked at, because that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
yeah, now that we talked through it, I do remember this was on our radar, so we'll be sure to.
Yeah, I think, Mr. James, just so, I know you understood what they said, but this was accepted, not completely, because they did change the design of that retention pond. Like Alan said, it was supposed to be a free-flowing retention pond. Now, I think what they've done is shrunk the footprint of it and made it where it's a pumped retention pond. And that ditch that they're pumping into, I mean, that's something we're gonna have to, before we accept anything else, we're gonna make sure that I think they need to be responsible for regrading so it does not hold water. Because he's correct on that, that's gonna breed mosquitoes all summer long.
And that was a specific issue that was documented to them, that the grading was an issue, so
Right.
I'll immediately follow up with the grading, I'll work with Alan on that, and the dumpster issue, because those are two immediate problems that need to be addressed.
But just to be clear, they will not receive one CO for any home there until we are 100% satisfied with all of the concerns and all the changes made after preliminary or final plat was approved.
Right, well, it was between preliminary and final, we
Final,
didn't
right.
catch it till the final inspections, but they are aware of those, and that they will not even get an occupancy inspection
Correct.
until they're resolved.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, is there anybody else who would like to address the board for up to 3 minutes? All right, well, we will move on to Alderman's Forum. Mr. Gill?
I have nothing.
All right. Ricky? All right.
I do have a couple things. One is, the Chamber of Commerce has been operating all of our functions and everything they do for us, and they have no vehicle to haul tables, chairs, signage, anything of that matter around. And so I had asked Alan if we ever had a truck that was out of use and we weren't needing it, that was worth donating to them, that I'd like one to let them know. And they do have one at this time. It's a 2005 Dodge 2500. And, is it black? White? And, so, I know the chamber is in need of it, and I would like to make the motion that we donate this 2005 Dodge 2500 to the Chamber of Commerce to use to basically support the city with it. I mean, they do everything for
We
us.
have to claim it not of the use of the city first.
Right, you need to make sure that you claim that it's surplus property not being used for city purposes, and that you're donating it to a bona fide 501c3.
Right, exactly. And that's what.
So is that your motion?
Yes.
All right, so moved by Mr. Cox. Second by Mr. Osmond. Any discussion on that?
I have some discussion. What? So just to clarify, this is 100% above board legal for us to give them this vehicle?
Yes.
All right? All right. Well, I don't have a problem with it as long as they use it outside of Ward 2 occasionally.
Well, we do because they store all their stuff across the bridge in the county, so that's where we're going.
Exactly, it'll be in the county and Ward 2.
I know they will very much appreciate that because they've been wearing Mr. Chick Cody's truck out because that's the truck they've been using forever.
Yeah, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Another thing is, the seniors parade, May 26th. I had spoken to the organizers of this again yesterday, and after watching all the other parades for all the seniors, everybody's getting excited about it. So I wanted to get permission for the fire department and of course the PD to participate and assist with the parade. And I just want to make that in a form of a motion so everybody understands. I think the chief is willing to meet them at the upper elementary and escort them through town with the fire truck. And Chief Dunstan will take care of intersections, whatever he can do to assist, make it run smoothly. So I'd like to make it. I did not talk to her about that yet, but I can call her back. Well, actually, after tonight, she would like to meet with y'all. So set up a meeting to come visit y'all at the PD.
Just give me a,
Call the mayor's office or call Charlotte.
yeah, just,
Okay.
just pass the information to me and we'll say
And I
that.
want to thank y'all for working with them and making this happen. I mean, they're gonna really enjoy it. I think as of yesterday, she said they had 100 confirmed that was going to participate, and they had 100 that wanted to ride along that did not have vehicles. So there'll be 200 students out of the 466 so far that will be participating in the parade.
And what day is it?
The 26th. They'll start at 10:30 at the high school loading up. They'll leave from the high school at 11 and come down Government Street following the rules of the road till they get to the upper elementary. They will pull in the parking lot and line up again behind the fire truck and then follow the fire truck through downtown. So that's their game plan, and I think it'll be a lot of fun for the kids. Another thing, and I'm not privy to everything on this, I'm just gonna bring it up for discussion, and maybe Joey and the mayor can help out with this. I was told that the YMCA requested use of our gymnasiums for the child care at this time because of the numbers and the stipulations involved. Joey, is that
Yeah,
pretty much?
the YMCA will only let a certain amount of kids in for the Y, and they usually have close to 190 kids. Well, the Y's gonna let them have 90. That's it. So they need space for the rest of those kids so they can sign them up and take care of them. And what came up was the 2 gyms would be enough room to cover that other 100 and something kids. And Troy said that if it came down to the floors, that the county would get together and cover them so that no damage would go to the gym floors. And what it is people are desperate. They're calling him. They don't have anywhere to put their kids. So he asked if we could at least let them use those 2 buildings until things got back to normal to help out the families.
And I think that will fall on what we have going on in the gyms at that time. I think if they're not being used, absolutely, I'm all for.
During the
Ryan
day,
Youth Center
they
during
can
the
do
day.
contact sports right now, right? Nothing. No, we take out some campus too. Or do you?
But I mean, the Ryan Youth Center sitting there, it can be used, so, and if the county wants to help us put another new floor on that, floor would be wonderful.
We'll do it.
Just say, Mr. Lewis, did you have something? That's all
What's the
right.
legal ramifications of using those 2 gyms that the city is going to go back and accept by putting children in those 2 gyms? That's the question you gotta ask.
The liability?
The liability would be something that would have to go through our attorney before we move forward with any of this. I was just privy to this tonight. So I just want to bring it up, discuss it, and maybe have our legal team address it. And also, we have to work with Ms. Jerry and Huffy to schedule it. So is everybody in favor of looking into that, or?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it only makes sense to look into. You know, it doesn't hurt to look into. I mean, can't promise a result, but we can certainly.
If, Huffy, you said our summer camp utilizes those? Okay, well, I mean, if they're in there at all, then they're not gonna be able to accept the 100 kids. I mean, that's, if they're looking to take their full load on, that's 5 days a week for the duration of the camp.
I didn't know they used that gym. I mean, I've been around the summer camp for years, and never knew them to put kids at that gym.
Well,
We go down there, we got upstairs, we got a.
So-
That's upstairs, it's not downstairs.
So I actually had a conversation with Rob Kirkland with the YMCA today, and the Ryan Youth Center, I met with Huffy and Miss Jerry yesterday, I think, and I got a more or less schedule, an idea about the Ryan Youth Center. It looks like during the day it's going to be available. So I think, and I already called Rob and talked to him, Rob Kirkland with YMCA, and talked to him today, and they're going to look at and powwow and see what they can do and get back with me. So it may be that the Ryan Youth Center we could do it at the Ryan Youth Center.
Yeah, because it's got
That's,
Mayor, on my motion on the truck, let's amend that motion just to let the legal team make sure everything is correct moving forward, and if so, then I want it to be approved on that basis.
Yeah, we can make it contingent upon,
What,
confirming their 501c3 status.
So we need to amend that
Yes.
motion.
sound good?
So moved by Mr. Cox, right? Seconded by, I need to take a motion, I need to take a vote, right?
Yes, if you're
Okay,
amending.
yeah. All right, motion by Mr. Cox, second by Mr. Bellman. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
And do we need a motion for the gyms, or we're just gonna move in that direction and let you research?
Yeah, let's just research it for a little while and hopefully we'll have something more, substantial for the next meeting.
Yeah, because I talked to, like I said, they're looking to see what they can do, so it might be a point anyway. All right, Mr. Ken?
Talking in terms of our water towers, I understand we're gonna do some repairs on our painting and repairs on our water tower. And I had talked to our JCUA representative, Jerry Monroe, and in a conversational manner asked him the possibility of JCUA, us satelliting or partnering with JCUA to repair and paint these towers. And he brought it forward to the CEO and some of the board members, so it seems to be a positive thing that they will discuss. And the reason that I did bring it up is in terms of saving money, because they paint a bunch of towers, and I would assume that we could get ours painted and repaired cheaper. But anyway, having said all of that, what I would like to ask, and Mr. Monroe called me back and stated it would need to be, since it's just he and I had a conversation, and I agree totally, that this board needs to agree to go forward and at least investigate this. There's no facts and nothing at this point in time, but JCUA would need a letter stating that we are interested in partnering with or working with them when it comes to painting and repairing our towers. And so I would like to ask the mayor to send a letter to the CEO of JCUA expressing an interest in us, and you can wordsmith it, I call it partnering with them, to have our towers painted at the same time that the paint figures. And just seal it.
Yeah, I think, Ken, I spoke with you about this, and I'm in 100% agreement, actually for once. Ken, would you?
Thank you, Ron.
Yeah, that's the first. But no, I think it's a no-brainer when JCUA basically has contractors here mobilized on site, repairing and repainting their tanks and towers. And if we piggyback that, so to speak, we just eliminated at least mobilization costs. So we're going to save, that could be anywhere from $100,000 to $200,000 for just mobilization, depending on what kind of equipment they have. So I think it's a great idea, and I support Ken's statement to have the mayor contact JCUA in writing and ask for quotes, basically, from their contract.
Sure. Yeah, I do. Thanks, Rob. I appreciate that. And I think it's just a no-brainer to at least have this fact-finding mission. And I think you probably need to have a committee to kind of look at this thing, and maybe an alderman or two, and Public Works and James Foster kind of get a feel for the thing.
I agree.
I recluse myself since I did serve on that board. I will not be a part of. I want to be viewed as impartial, and so I don't want to be a part of that committee.
Well, what we'll do is we'll we'll send a letter, and then I can bring back their response to the board at the next meeting, and then we can put together a committee at that time.
Thank you, Mayor.
Ken, do they want that in the form of a motion as an official action of the board?
It probably wouldn't hurt.
You
I'll
can
do
make
it.
a motion authorizing the mayor to send a letter requesting what you asked.
I would make the motion that the mayor sends a letter to the CEO of JCUA requesting that we partner with them on the repair and painting of the Ocean Springs water towers.
I'll second
All right,
that.
motion by Mr. Papania, second by Mr. Empey. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I got. That's it.
Okay, Mr. Blackman? Mr. Empey?
All right, I've only got 10 or 12 things here. I just said that for Rob's benefit. I want to say a quick thank you to Randy Bosarge in the county for coming in during this slow time and paving these streets. I've got a lot of good feedback. I know Mr. Gills had some paved in Ward 1, I'm Ward 6. The different wards that falls in Randy Bosarge's district. They've done a great job, and this is the fastest they've ever done paving work. I mean, they knocked it out. Appreciate that. I do have a proposal here. Mr. Huffy forwarded to me that didn't make the agenda. They want to try and get it done, the work done while the work's being done on the sound system for a modification on the lighting system. And so I've got a proposal here. The total on it is $3,900 for the lighting system here at the Civic Center upgrades. And I'm gonna make a motion to accept the proposal from, I think it's Enterprise is how you pronounce it, for $3,900 to upgrade the lighting systems at the Civic Center.
All right, motion, Mr. Empey.
Is that labor and more?
That was a second from Mr. Cox.
What it is when they put the LEDs in this building, it does work with this dimming system that we got. So dim them right now, it's fixed. So they got modules and all they have to do is send them to me, I'll pop the old one out, put the new one in.
So you're gonna do the labor part of it? Okay.
That's all
We do
that.
You always do the labor of it, I don't know why I even asked.
That's all of these
You'll be able to demo instead of, I think, going to cook before.
Like the Christmas card, remember we couldn't get the neon
Yeah,
bar?
we've got more modern light bulbs than we've got more modern lighting controls. Is this covered in the budget, Mr. Blackman?
Yeah, well, it's probably in the, I don't have to put it in the Civic Center, but if not, we had several projects in their budget, so if we don't have it in the Civic Center, then we'll go to their budget.
I know Jerry.
Yeah, so motion, Mr. Empey, and second, Mr. Cox.
I just want to tack on to what Mr. Papania said in his prayer to remember our veterans on Memorial Day. You know, a lot of folks gave all for the freedoms we enjoy in this country, and just encourage everybody to remember. That's all I've got.
All right, before we get out of here, just one more thing I forgot. We need to set the dates for the interviews for the Parks Director. Mindy, when does the advertisement expire? Tomorrow.
It's the last day.
And how many applications do we have? Roundabout?
42 so far. 42.
42. And where exactly? So it's nationwide?
There are some from all over. There's
I
about
thought we were gonna advertise local first.
We did. We did.
And nothing came up?
We have a few.
Oh, okay, you did both then?
I didn't do that.
They just were able to find it.
And I put it on Indeed, which was not a national ad, but if somebody was searching for that particular job, they could find it.
Okay.
So, does anybody have a particular day, or do we want to punt that to next meeting, or what do we want to do on that?
Would y'all like to have a special call one night next week?
For interviews? To go over. So who's gonna select the applicants for the interview?
Does the HR committee like to go through the applications, or what is your brother?
Let's go through that.
I'd like to.
And wait, get down to 5?
Have a special call to do that, go through the application, get it down to 5 or however many we want to have, and then they'll be ready.
No, I would think 5. I would think 5 is.
But what I'll do is I'll send out an email and we'll get a time locked down and set it. I'm pretty flexible this week. I don't know what everybody else's schedule's like. So,
Well, tomorrow's the last day, so you
Yeah.
need to wait until after tomorrow.
at least Thursday, I guess. All right, well, I'll email everybody and we'll get the ball rolling on that. So. All right, without anything else for the order?
I do want to say one thing. So this took a tremendous effort by a lot of people to move this meeting here. From our legal team, Public Works, Parks, especially City Hall staff, police and fire, I'm sure had some parts to do in it. So at least move some tables around or something. But thanks everybody, because it was a huge task, and learning a new sound system and just setting up to make this move. So it could be an accessible meeting to the public. Only a handful of shows, but that's good. It's a start, and hopefully we can kind of get back to a little sense of normalcy soon. But thanks everybody for what they did to make this meeting happen for you.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I know you gave an opportunity for us to speak up earlier, and I was trying to gather some information before I did. I do have just one thing, if it's okay.
That's fine. You can cancel it early.
Thank you, gentlemen.
I just state your name and either address or your ward.
Well, I'm actually not a citizen yet of Ocean Springs. My name is Stephen Fazio. I'm the pastor of Northwood Church, Ocean Springs location, right here at the Civic Center. So we haven't had the pleasure to meet yet, but I met these gentlemen, and I wanted to thank you. You weren't there. I've already thanked the alderman, but thank you for putting your stamp of approval on this agreement. We're ecstatic to be here. 2, I know that you're aware that part of the agreement was that we would install this sound system, the audio, video, and lighting. We are just about complete, but I did want to let you know, one, I came in and I heard some of that feedback, and I said, wow, I hope that's not our equipment. I'm glad to find out that it wasn't. However, what I did want to do was invite you gentlemen, Mr. Blackman, I believe this is your ward, if I'm not mistaken. I would love to invite you, any of you aldermen, and Mr. Mayor, Chief, Huffy, you'll be there, of course. Thursday night, we're going to be doing the commissioning of this sound system. It will be a little bit technical in the beginning. We've got to work some things out. We'll be tuning, we'll be EQing, and all of those kinds of things. But throughout the night, you'll have the opportunity to hear this system and see this system operating at its peak. And so if you're interested in that, I just wanted to give you guys the first opportunity to come get a glance at what this system here at the Civic Center is capable of doing for this city. We'll be starting at 6 p.m. I imagine if you came as late as 6:15 or even 6:20, 6:30, you'd be coming right in the midst of when we were starting to ramp up. So up until then, there might be some technical stuff, but we'd love to have you and talk and maybe even answer any questions that you have about the system. I know you guys will be using it. Obviously, you don't necessarily need to know all the technical details that Mr. Huffy will be able to provide all of those services, but if you had any questions, we just want to be fully transparent with you guys and invite you into the process, because I think it's really cool. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate that, and I've been in conversation with Huffy and Ms. Sherry, and they haven't said one unkind word about how easy it is and an honor it is to work with y'all. So I want to thank you, and we appreciate you coming to Ocean Springs. I mean, definitely we need more spreading God's word, and especially in this time. So I'm excited about it, and I'm going to try to make it.
Thank you. And I will be a resident of Ocean Springs in the near future.
Good.
COVID slowed us down a little bit, but we're moving in that direction. Thank you, gentlemen.
Ward 5, close break.
I'm sorry?
Ward 5.
Ward 5.
Ward 5.
Yeah.
Ward 5. Tell me how good today. It should tell you Ward 5, Ward 5.
You're going to help me locate a house over here.
Not a problem. We can do that too. Mr. Mayor, please.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, one quick thing about your microphones. A lot of you tap the mic. That's the wrong thing to do. There are a lot of little particles that's in there. And when you tap that mic, you are tearing up the mic. You blow into the mic to see if it's on. Please, ma'am, please, sir, do not tap the mic because you are damaging it.
Got it. All right, so
We've got something I'm missing.
All right, Nicole?
Yeah, one last thing. So tonight went well. What is y'all's desire for the next meeting? Because obviously that notice would have to be posted, and then the recess meeting.
I don't think we can make it in time for the next meeting, right?
Well, you can, because we're in an act of God situation. But, I mean, we didn't have very many show up here, and we could probably do the same thing at City Hall. So I just wanted to bring it up because it's up, if y'all want to move the first regular board meeting here, we obviously need to make that decision.
Leave it at City Hall.
For the regular, not the recess?
The live
Let me just say my thought process of why we should leave the next regular meeting here. And it's this, I mean, we're able to spread out a heck of a lot more up here than at the board table. And that, if they do want to come, way more room to spread out. So I think we're in this stage where it may not be a bad idea to just stay here for another meeting and then see how things go. But that's just my opinion. That's one man's opinion.
Okay, either way.
So we have gotten some feedback from a few people that are watching the live feed, and they can't hear anybody at this table. And if you're not using your microphones, they can't hear you at all either.
Well, we'll definitely need to do it. I think, yeah, we kind of fumbled through this, but I think we'll definitely do a better job at we need to make sure we're talking to our mics for the live feed.
Well, they were talking about department head, they couldn't hear.
They can't hear. And if you're not talking in your mic, they can't hear you either.
I've been texting people and asking them, so.
Well, it's a learning process.
Be worked out.
All y'all needed one mic down there.
So does anybody?
Want to entertain a motion?
Get one mic down there, I think it'll be all right.
I'm fine either way, whatever y'all want to do.
I'll see, let's have
Do we need a motion for that?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll, it may not pass, and I don't mind either way. I just think, with some tweaking, we can make the pit down there, we'll call it better, and, make sure everybody speaks into their mic up here, and I think we'll be okay. So I'd like to make the motion, we at least move the next meeting here, and that Nicole put all the necessary notices and paperwork out to make that happen, or assist with putting that out.
Yeah, y'all put it out, but just put in your motion, due to the current pandemic.
Due to the current COVID-19 pandemic.
All right, motion on Mr. Blackman to move the first meeting in June to the Civic Center because of the COVID-19 pandemic. All right, seconded by Mr. Gill. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
And if you don't mind me asking you a sound system question, so do we have the capability of adding microphones down there around those tables?
Yes, sir. I was actually just speaking with the gentleman who's most proficient with it, and the best case scenario, we are still going to provide a couple more wireless mics, and so those are being installed this week. Those wireless mics will probably best serve on the floor, maybe one to pass around here. And I was thinking one, rather than using this podium, because it created so much feedback,
Yes.
if you'll have a wired mic that it's a different type of microphone, and it's on just a boom stand, that would be a better scenario. So you'll have two wireless mics on the floor, and then you can use the wired mics on the platform.
Yeah, I like that. So.
Yeah, we had some handhelds available tonight, but we didn't have enough outlets, plugs in the back that we had access to. So that's just something we have to.
Overall went well.
I think so. Like I said, it's unfortunate that nobody could hear you guys speak tonight. And do we know how the podium went? Because like I said, I think his idea is perfect to just put a boom stand mic right here and
Yeah, because it didn't
do
do
away
that
with
feedback
that.
when we tested it.
Yeah.
It didn't do it, so it's got to have something to do with the rest of the sound in the room.
Jerry Strait said she heard everything.
That's what I'm saying. Some people are just gonna, some people are just gonna complain no matter what.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. I'll second. On June 2nd, 2020.
All right, motion to adjourn by Mr. Gill, seconded by Mr. Bellman. All in favor? Aye. All opposed, we're now adjourned.
But y'all can help.
Yeah.
You're good to go. So since it didn't get pulled, it got approved. So just, I know that, the issue with the redesign, you know, the smaller thing, basically you can go forward now with the permit review and all of that.
So go ahead.
So we can get the plans and get them submitted, and Wade will be waiting for it. If you have any questions, just email Wade and, you know, see if there's anything else that they need.
But it still comes through y'all's office.
Yeah, it gets submitted to building, but we all look at it, so we can kind of help you shepherd it.
All right.
So, all right.
I sure appreciate it.
No, I appreciate your work, and I mean, every time something like this comes up and we find something in the code and go, well, how does that happen? You know, unintended consequences. So,
I'm doing okay.
And a lot of times I tell people, we understand that, we know exactly what you're doing, but when you take off people and our trust in your intentions, we have to look at what might happen in the future. So some people will take it personally and say, it's not you, but you know.
Even my brother, he's an architect. He told me when I was going through it,
yeah.
He combined
Right, and then that's, and even then, you don't have to combine the lots, it's a semantic thing, which drives me crazy. You're already combined into a parcel, so you can build on your lot line because the parcel is your property, but that only comes into be a problem if you ever wanted to split it back again into the two lots. You can't because the building's there. So, yeah, it's all the lot lines, the skeletons.
Oh, okay.
Those don't move, and then you've got the parcel IDs on top of it. Yours is fairly simple, some of them have been really weird. But I'm just glad, I mean, that was the only solution we could give you is let us deny it, you appeal it, we'll make conditions. No problem, no problem, thank you.
I'll definitely ask because I have, so they did make an assessment to the local and abandonment. I don't have this motion. I got nothing. Yeah, and so they signed it back up, right? But after that,
No, it's just easier to hide most
I
of
might
the
reach out to you and see.
They stand out so much, they pull it back.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that's what I'm just telling Mark.
I was at like 5
I've had to do that before, it's like, yeah, I can't.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I just put super important.
Is that on something for us?
Yeah,
It's like we have enough.
but so I'm gonna come on Thursday. Yeah, we're gonna come on Thursday.
Well, there's Amish and there's the other group. Yeah, there's another group that's not so conservative. Amish is totally not the name. Yeah, but it's the same. Okay, cool.
Are y'all leaving this? What do y'all want to do as far as picking that? I can help.
I believe that.
We can come back to that. We can just leave it if you want to.
Good, because these ones are Amish Montreal. But it's the other group that's not.
Are y'all using it tomorrow morning?
They dress the same. Yeah.
The tables are set up.
It's all good.
Set up for something.
What was your name again? Okay. Yeah, nice meeting you. Yeah, I definitely. Y'all got a GoPro, right?
Yeah, no, I'll probably leave it here, just for that, but also because it totally tore up my car when I brought it back. So if since we're having the next one here, I just, but that's a good idea. Just like, you know, nothing. Yeah.
I've been kind of going to First Baptist downtown, but.
Right. But yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you.
Either a live webinar
For now.